I hope you can see my screen. I decided to share a few pages and slides with you just to help the conversation. When Pamela and we were discussing the future of sustainability in real estate, of course, we had a lot of ideas, and we could have taken this topic to a lot of different places. And honestly, if I start to think about the future of and talk about sustainability, I think we need to ask ourselves what future we want. We all have a huge responsibility towards this beautiful planet and to future generations. And I think we not only have a responsibility, we all have a role to play, whether we are consultants, whether developers, investors, and any actor in this sector has a fantastic opportunity to leave a positive impact in the future. And I think it's really important that we think about what really is in our power to make that change. If I actually observe what is happening right now in Europe, I think we're probably looking at the European Union leading that transformation in the way it has adopted the global commitments in terms of the UN Agenda 2030, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. They've given us a direction for change, for transformation, and for leadership, but also the commitments we have made towards the Paris Agreement, and the commitment we made to be zero carbon by 2050. And there's a couple of things that happen in the real estate market which are very important that we are observing at Arup, and we're very much involved in that transformation and helping our clients. I think the most important elements that we are seeing right now change in the market is the European Action Plan for Financing Sustainable Growth. Is a very ambitious program of financial transformation, and for once, actually for practitioners in sustainability, this is probably the first time where financial markets and flows, economic flows, are aligning with sustainability, which wasn't so much the case in the past. Let's put it that way. The business case for sustainability was sometimes not so clear as it has become today. And therefore, I would like to use the EU Action Plan for like a springboard for discussing what we are observing in the market, because the action plan, which of course is very much focused at the financial market participants, has very ambitious goals of reorienting capital flows towards sustainable investment. And this is already a big change of ensuring that there's a business case and financial support for sustainable investments and sustainable projects. Mainstreaming sustainability into risk management, because of course the idea of managing sustainability risk is very important and is something that was not taken into consideration in the past, especially in the financial market. And of course, as a third objective, which is also very, very important, is fostering transparency and long-termism. Sustainability needs a long-term view of development and not the short-term quick return view that we saw so much until today, very much. And this is causing, the action plan is actually through its new legislative changes and regulations is changing quite a lot of stir in the market. And the SFDR, the disclosure regulations, are very much leading that transformation, because of course there's a huge push for financial market participants to disclose their sustainability credentials and their impacts and the risks. And we are seeing quite a lot of pressure on financial market participants also to align their business and their products to better or higher sustainability performance requirements and to disclose those performance requirements. And actually, as an observation, I think in the future, or in the very close future, I don't think we need to look far into the future, we will not see non-sustainable products as at all viable. I think the mainstream will become very much a sustainable product. So the Article 6 are very much a thing of the past, and we're seeing how the market is already responding and thinking about how they can transform their businesses into more sustainable ones to be able to access the market. We are observing how the taxonomy is pushing now. Finally, we have definitions of what constitutes a sustainable activity, and at the moment we've only seen 2 of the 6 objectives published, as the climate mitigation and adaptation, but the other 4 ones are due to be published in the next couple of years. And this is already raising the bar in terms of providing a common language for the real estate market and any actors in the built environment to align building designs, operations, refurbishments, and ownership of the built environment and assets. So taxonomy, again, creating quite a good solid base for that transformation in Europe, and is something that is becoming very much this common language across all market participants. Another very important topic is the idea of we have committed to zero carbon by 2050. What does it mean for the built environment, and the idea of having your assets stranded, not be able to decarbonize fast enough, aligned with the commitments that each member state have made, and the idea of owning and operating buildings are not capable of decarbonizing fast enough, and therefore being punished by the market for either emitting too much carbon or being not good enough in terms of performance. So this risk is growing in the market, and we're seeing a lot of clients looking proactively at how can they refurbish their assets, how they can decarbonize them, how they can improve the performance, how they can come into a dialogue with the tenants, of course, because when we talk about buildings, it's not just the landlord areas or current shell, but also tenant space for decarbonizing those buildings and bringing them more aligned with the requirements in the European legislation. We also know that the market is very, very nervous about climate risk, which is becoming increasingly important, and is something that is affecting markets in different ways. In Europe, we have less exposure to, say, severe typhoons, for example, hurricanes, but even where I'm sitting right now in Berlin, we have a future projection of severe storms and flooding that we haven't had in the past. And our clients investing globally, even across Europe, are really more and more exposed than ever to climate risk. And therefore being able to identify those risks and proactively prepare and adapt the portfolio, adapt assets, is becoming critical to ensuring that risk is mitigated and addressed. So when we look at what is happening in the market, our perspective is the market is looking at this very, very closely. About a recent research published by EY on real estate market in Europe is looking at 80% of the client groups expect that investor will almost exclusively invest in sustainable real estate products in the future, but that at the moment almost all products or assets are non-ESG products. And therefore, there's a huge gap there for the market to really think about how they can upgrade and improve the performance of their assets to meet those requirements and meet the sustainable finance requirements. And therefore, about the majority of the respondents of the survey expect that the majority of the funds will see a transformation to really deeply meet the new ESG criteria for sustainability. So this feels sometimes as there's a lot happening, and I see a lot of also nervousness as a consultant. Our real estate clients are asking for a lot of support and clarity, and my advice as a professional in this field is keep calm, talk to Arup, and we can help you. But and also what I can share with you is what I'm seeing in the market that early adopters are doing. to be able to be prepared for those changes. So the first one, early adopters are embracing the change and preparing, they're not denying it. I've seen very few, there are a few though, players that are saying, well, we just keep on doing the same as before. Actually, all of this is not of an impact for our business. And I think that's very blind and is going to bite them in the back. So embrace this change. Sustainability is coming and is already here. And just prepare well. And don't do this alone. Collaborate with market leaders. What I've seen so far, especially in Europe, is a lot of consortia and alignment, think tanks of developers, investors in a lot of different fields, collaborating together, sharing best practice, setting their own benchmarks, their own rules, and pushing also the market together as organizations and rather than individuals. Think long-term. Sustainability is not about short-term investment, as we saw earlier, and a long-term value of your assets can be maintained through a robust sustainability strategy. Invest in value creation and keep on refurbishing. Don't build new unless you really have to. Keep on bringing up the value of what we already have. Our cities are wonderful and fantastic. There's a lot of capital there that we can just maintain and renew to meet the new challenges, and really embrace the fact that sustainability is the new normal, is here to stay, and sustainability is value and is growth and is not an obstacle and is not a problem to resolve somewhere, but is an opportunity for really changing the market into a more positive output. And with this, I just finished, and my friend and client, Pamela at Swiss Life, can tell you a lot more about what they are doing. A quick one, because I jumped into the presentation, we had a few problems before. I did introduce myself. My name is Francesca Galeazzi, and I lead the sustainability consulting team of Arup in Germany. Thank you.
So thank you, Francesca. I hope that now everybody's able to see my presentation. So not yet. We're still on the screen. So from my side, maybe to say hello to the audience that is attending to this very great and extend real estate conference. My name is Pamela Villanueva, head of ESG real estate for the Swiss Life Asset Managers here in Germany. And all of what Francesca was talking about, I wanted to translate it a little bit into reality, because in the real estate market and in all conferences, we tend a lot to speak about the theory, and sometimes for many people, it's very difficult to say, okay, it's very nice what everybody is saying, but it's how do you really apply it on the reality? And that's what I tried to do here with my presentation. So I divided in three main topics. And I just wanted to start with the main and very traditional definitions that we have in the market since already a lot of time. With the definition of sustainability, as everybody probably knows from the Brundtland's report, the Sustainable Development Goals, as a collection of 17 goals towards a sustainable future, and ESG for environmental, social, and governance as part of our real estate outcome. Some of the speakers before today were also talking about sustainable transparency. Francesca also named that. The transparency topic, I think, is the new paradigm that is conducting our business today, and therefore we have measures in place already, like the SFDR, which I'm going to come a little bit later on the speech. Just an introduction for everybody. Swiss Life has been working on ESG topics since several years. and we have defined for us three main pillars: the fiduciary duty, integrational responsibility, and active stewardship. We combine that obviously with our active management and memberships in different kinds of networks and associations in order to have a more integral base and strategy for our company. How do we do that and put everything together in our strategy? So we have developed a responsible investment approach that aligns the 17 SDGs with 9 principles that we have developed for that. We have different business lines within Swiss Life, and those are the securities, real estate, and infrastructure. So from these 17 main goals or main topics in the SDGs, we had chosen some of them for as a focus for each business line. Here, as you can see, there are some of the topics that I've highlighted for the real estate, for which I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But please don't forget the 9 principles, because I'm going to get back to it in a second. How we align all this within our framework. So we have life cycle our real estate. And that means that we try to allocate the different SDGs and principles within the whole real estate life cycle. And means that during the transaction, there are several topics that we go through within a tool that we develop ourselves, ESG assessment, that we put in place for every new transaction that we conduct. And therefore, we can also allocate some of the main SDGs into this part of the life cycle assessment of real estate. We also developed for new developments, because we also are in that market. We have a department doing new developments and also in charge of big refurbishments. We developed for ourselves another tool that are the construction guidelines, and that helps us also allocate some of the SDGs that we chose for real estate into this part of the real estate life cycle. And obviously the big part, and as in Germany we always say, the music is within the buildings in operation, as also Francesca said before. Some of those SDGs are also allocated in that area. For example, with green leases, or within the operations and the whole asset and property management services. Governance is also a topic, but that is something that we have as overall during the whole process of a real estate, and not just specific or allocated in specific into a stage of the real estate. So here we come to the topic that Francesca and everybody also before was talking about, transparency. That is all of this is translated for us into a materiality matrix that shows the different topics that we've chosen, and that we think that from our perspective and also from the perspective from our stakeholders have different relevances, so that we can align that with SFDR also. Here in the chart we see just like the materiality matrix that we have for our portfolio, overall portfolio, real estate portfolio, and for each of the funds that we were able to categorize under Article 8 for SFDR per March 10th. We chose some of these topics in order to determine a specific ESG strategy at a product level. So we were always like making a breakdown between our ESG strategy overall for the different business lines that we have, but always focus in the main 9 principles and the SDGs. So here, just as an example, those topics that we have in mathematics are able to be like aligned with different of the SDGs at different stages. Just as an example, for if I pick goal number 11, there we talk about sustainable, or the SDGs talk about sustainable cities and how the population is moving into cities, is crowding the cities, and also we will see that, for example, COVID-19 will have obviously a very big impact in areas that are urbanized very densely and in poor areas. So that at the end of the day, we have then their targets given by these SDGs that we break through in order to put in and allocate different KPIs for our products. In summary, that means that we have this materiality matrix with the different topics for each product. That means for each fund that was categorized, we chose specific topics within this materiality matrix as a focus, and those topics were translated and aligned with the SDGs to generate the different KPIs to be able to have a strategy that was focusing in, especially in environmental and social characteristics that are the 2 main topics that you need to have in order to have an Article 8 product according to SFDR. Francesca also talked about considering risk in this whole process. That is also something that we obviously do, that it's embedded in our risk management processes at different stages. And here we also can align different SDGs. I just want to show in a very pragmatic way to say, okay, the physical risks, we have allocated them mostly in the transaction process, also linked a little bit to our ESG assessment, and the transactional risks, we have allocated that into the asset and property management services. What are we as Swiss Life looking at? I think that as probably much of the participants in the real estate market, we are looking at performance, transparency, new regulations, especially here in Germany or in Europe. For us, it's also very important to have happy stakeholders, to have products that are able to be marketable in the next coming years, and not just in the next couple of years, but on a long-term basis. So all these topics are things that are a little bit designing our day-to-day job. So because we really noticed already in our company that we are not allowed to not to be sustainable anymore. So that's the main thing that it's moving us today. That it's not just the ESG department of Swiss Life, but I've really seen that within the company, at least in Swiss Life in Germany, everybody's very enthusiastic because everybody has also understood that this is, as also Francesca said, this is the new normal. We cannot allow ourselves not to be sustainable anymore. And with that, I think that I have finished my presentation. I don't know if we have some questions of the audience. Wow. Or if Wouter would like to ask us some questions.
Well, thank you very much, Pamela. And we're running a little bit out of time, Francesca. So, well, thank you very much for your presentations and your insights on the sustainability part within real estate and the future of that. Because, well, I personally believe that it's very important. So. we should get all more be inspired by how the future is going to be look like.
Yeah, we were happy to attend, I think, and always the time is very short because you always want to like have a little bit more interaction, but I hope that we were able to give a very big like overview of the topics.
For sure, we will bring you back on another event for sure. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, and face to face next time, we hope.
I hope so too. Well, enjoy your day and see you next time.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.